I'm making this video to show off a project that I'm pretty proud of and to put some more information out there regarding the PicoFly mod for the Switch consoles. Honestly, it's a really easy mod to do. Compare that to the 21-wire mod that I did on my PS2, it's a breeze. The solder points on the Switch are one size smaller, but there's only a few of them to do. Some models only require a few solder points with some pre-made flex PCBs to get running, but if it's an OLED, there's a really funky flex PCB that you have to stick under a BGA NAND chip to get to one of the solder pads. Luckily, mine is only a V2 switch. Definitely take a look at the link in the description for more detailed information on other models. I'm only going to be going over my V2. I really recommend getting some of the pre-made flex PCBs from AliExpress. They make this job a no-brainer, like connect the dots. The first thing that you should do whenever you get your microcontroller is to flash the PicoFly firmware onto your board. Most come pre-flashed, but some don't, so just to make sure. And so that's only the firmware for the microcontroller that performs the exploit on your Switch. It's not the custom firmware. If you flashed the controller and you did the mod correctly, you should get a no SD screen whenever you boot up your console. From that point, you can load up the .bin file for your custom firmware, most people call this a CFW, onto the root of your SD card and it'll boot right into it. That .bin is what replaces the stock operating system on your Switch, and it allows you to load Homebrew. Here I'm using a little bit of K5 Pro thermal pad replacement. I just want to keep my Switch as cool as possible, and this stuff is nice to use instead of thermal pads. I heat up the shielding a little bit around to get it to flow better and squish down more. I also had a weird problem with one of my Joy-Cons where the right shoulder sometimes wouldn't click and would get stuck. A little bit of shaved plastic fixed that. Hacks like these can and will get your Switch banned from online play if you're not careful. So please read a few of the threads on GBA Temp before you get going, and read up on the documentation of the custom firmwares that you use so that you don't get stuck on some really simple step.